Hey. Okay, now we're on.
As I promised, everybody doesn't just need to look at our two ugly faces anymore.
Yes, thank God. Marcus, nice to meet you. How are you?
Not too bad. How are you?
We are good. We are, so yes.
How was Halloween?
Halloween was good. It's, we had, all my kids are older. Oh, you got it. It came.
I got mine too.
No.
Okay, good. So Halloween was good. You know, we had a little thing at our house, friend of ours' birthday, so we celebrated that, and we did. The theme was 70s TV show.
Ah, cool.
So I'm about 5'8", 5'7". One of my best friends is like 6'6". So I don't know if you remember Fantasy Island. He was Mr. Rourke and I was Tattoo.
Oh, I see.
Yes. So
well, Halloween isn't quite popular here. We have now some kids who play trick or treat, but that's all. So there are no Halloween parties or costume parties. No.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, it's clearly a pagan holiday that has survived, and I think it has to do with our. I think we're just obsessed with we just like free candy.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, it's
but I'm as well, with or without Halloween. So
okay.
I'm sugar addicted. I'm currently trying to refrain from sugar.
Yes,
it's really quite hard for me indeed. So I'm going through a harsh time right now.
It's hard for everybody. I mean, we're engineered, like our body is like processed sugar. Yep. Like when we get it, like I can eat a whole, I can eat a steak and be full. But then all of a sudden when sugar shows up,
there's little space left. So
it goes. The crap that is bad for you, like pasta, bread, sugar, it's amazing. It's amazing. I mean, I feel like shit after, but that minute when it's in your head.
Yeah, you have that dopamine flying, and
it's amazing. It's fantastic.
You know what it's like. It's like going to the strip club, right? And you're there, and as soon as you come out, you're like, "Oh my God, what did I fucking do?"
Right, of course.
Back home to your wife,
Right. Like there you go. The guy who figured to put an ATM machine in there is a genius.
Yep.
But that's just it. I mean, and this is the problem. I mean, America is the worst as far as overweight. And, you look at videos from like the 60s and the 70s of like high school gym class. It looks like the military.
Okay.
Right? Everyone's like fit, doing push-ups. Everyone can do pull-ups.
Yeah.
And you look at pictures on the beaches, there's not a lot of fat people. There's a couple. Now, forget it. I mean, the vast majority of them, we're overweight, we're over medicated, and now now, and you wonder why, shit happens, like what happens in, with like active shooters, and now everybody is so, when people don't understand anger and violence and don't have a grasp on it, they panic. So the more you train and the more you prepare. My personal experience with doing myself in training a lot of people is that the more mellow and calm and relaxed that you get, doing it, because it's like you have an answer for that problem, right? And if you don't, and you train people with from who have experienced violence, and one of the things that helps them with the recovery is actually tracking. So enough of that. Marcus, let's talk, man. So tell everybody where you're from, how you got into this. So where are you calling from?
Well, I worked for more than 20 years in security business.
Okay.
did all kind of jobs there. And for the last 12 years, I was working for a teeny tiny US telecommunication company called Verizon.
Oh, I heard
You
of
might
that.
have heard of it. It's
Yes.
really a tiny one. I think they have
Yes.
2 customers or so, not more.
Yeah.
Right. And I was there into corporate security, also within internal investigations and so on. Yeah, and 2 years ago, after my father passed away, I decided to fulfill what I always wanted to do, to become self-employed in self-defense business. I think just a question in between. We have 2 expressions, self-protection and self-defense. So for us here in Europe, self-defense is more the physical act, while self-protection is everything around. I think you
Interesting.
you do it the other way around, I think, no? So
Well, for me, it kind of they both mean the same thing.
yeah.
You know, where self-defense and self-protection, you know, the protection and defense are, you know, kind of synonymous, and they're all encompassing. Most people, though, when they think about self-defense in the US, they think about the physical aspect of it.
Yeah.
And not the tactical aspect of it. And as we know, tactics always come first. So where are you located?
In Darmstadt, that's in not far from Frankfurt.
Okay.
A little bit in the south, about 30 kilometers.
All right.
So right in the center.
And then in the link in the description, we'll have information how people can contact you, of course, to get rolling. So in the security, and so let's go back to the beginning. You know, how old were you when you started, or you know, how long ago did you start? You said you were there for about.
I started in security business, I think, in 1998. Yes. So
And what was your first job? What was your first detail? What was your first job?
My first detail was a guard in hospital.
Okay.
At night in the emergency room.
Now.
Yeah, that was funny, really. So all the drug addicts to pull out of the facilities, and watching blood transports and so on. Then I switched onto a bigger company, who's one of the biggest player here around, Securitas. I think they're also in USA as well.
I'm familiar. Yes, I know exactly who that is. Yes, I do.
And then I became a night auditor in different hotels in Frankfurt. So they had a new service. They were outsourcing the night audit. That's a night porter there, who's a receptionist and who does check in, check out, and thing, but who's not so much guarding, but be part of the reception. Yeah, and they outsourced this to a security company, and I was one of the first. So that was kind of fun, being in hotels in Frankfurt at night alone.
Sure.
So some really weirdos that you can meet there. And so I was confronted with all kinds of people. People who were angry because they got no room. And so I learned de-escalation quite well. So
sure.
In a service area, you're not allowed to beat the shit of someone just because you're getting angry. Yeah.
Right.
But also someone, I remember when I met the Terminator. So
Arnold?
This was supposed a lovely Saturday night shift. When I came in, there were no more check-ins. Bar was already closed. Restaurant was already closed. Balance were accounted. So nothing to do. Okay, just do some stuff 1 hour and then lay back, watch TV until the early morning.
Right.
No, the door opened and a guy came in. Just really a thin guy, half of my size, just one blow and he flies away. But from the first minute, I can see he's completely stoned. And he was shouting at pictures, talking to plants. And in advance, I called the police. I have a suspect person here. Police said, we are coming. And then I asked the guy to get out. And he felt I was after him and ran into the restaurant. So we started chasing it around the tables.
Wait, stop. I need to hold on. Yeah. So you're saying Arnold Schwarzenegger came
No, it's not the real Arnold Schwarzenegger. He's just talking about, you're talking about a real Terminator, or is this the real Arnold Schwarzenegger?
It's a real story. Yeah, that's my experience.
He's talking about Arnold.
Real Arnold.
No, not real Arnold. No. It was just a junkie who came into the hotel.
Because I thought when you said
and he was completely stoned.
okay, you said because you said Terminator.
Yeah, no, I call him the Terminator. This is the end of the story because he behaves like
okay.
one.
Because I was like, I'm like,
No,
I'm like, all right, Murray's hanging out. All of a sudden, Arnold Schwarzenegger comes in. He's out of his mind, starts yelling at plants and trains. That's
no,
why
it was just a regular guy.
Okay, so he's a junkie. I mean, we call him junkies. We call him in New Jersey. We call him skells.
Yeah.
So so this guy comes in, right?
Yeah.
He's a.
And I wanted to get him out, and he wanted to escape from me because he was afraid of me due to his what he was going through. And then he ran into the kitchen, and I went after him, and he grabbed such a big butcher knife.
Holy shit!
He's waving it around, not while because he wanted to attack me. He wanted me just to back off.
Right. Yeah. Of course. Yes.
And I wasn't fully aware of that, and I got still a cut on my arm.
Oh shit!
And I remember, of course, due to adrenaline, and I don't remember all details. But what I really remember was my first thought was not, "Oh my gosh, he has a knife. I need to back up." No, my first idea was, "This fucker damaged my uniform."
Right. Right.
Long story short, I got the knife away from him somehow. I rammed my shoulder at him. I heard the collarbone break, and then I pulled him down, dislocated his shoulder, and he still wanted to get up. And if you don't mind, when you have a clear mind, you must remember a broken collarbone and a dislocated shoulder that hurts like hell.
Right.
It hurts like hell, but he still wanted to get up, so I had to sit on him, on his back, to fix him. And then the police come in and took him away. And then what happened? Then I vomit. I was
your adrenaline, of course. Yeah,
it all came out. Yeah. So I went to the bar, got myself a little glass of let's say water.
Yes, water. Yes.
Yeah, I called the securities company. I was like, "Sorry guys, I'm hurt. I'm hurt. I need to go to the hospital to check out because this was a knife. Maybe it was dirty or whatever. Can you please send a relief guard?" And they said, "No, we don't have anybody. You have to end the shit on your own." And so, "Thank you very much, asshole."
Right.
I was sitting there bleeding my butt off.
Yeah.
Waiting until the early shift, and then went into the. So this is the kind of people you meet when you work in hotels in Frankfurt, right? So this was 5 years of only night shifts. Next step, then I came into Verizon again, as security, physical security. And then they took me into the Verizon company as part of the corporate security. My last job was their team leader of, how does it call it, subpoena compliance. So this is a kind of telecommunication. So basically, I think you call it a PAN.
Okay.
Like when in case of crime, when police wants phone details or wants to have
sure. And you so they send a court order about telephone records and things like that. Yeah.
So this was my last job. Yeah.
So now, getting back to the Terminator story, a couple things that I want to just talk about. One is, when you said, you weren't really concerned with him, I think like people who haven't been in these situations, we're like, you're like hyper aware and you kind of know, this guy's trying to kill me, or this guy is just, trying to stop whatever's happening and he's freaking out. Yeah. Right. So that's why even, when you get cut, you're like, okay, again, your adrenaline and you're not feeling it. No. And you're thinking about, and the things that you think about.
So,
you just felt like you got your arm hit, right? Yeah. So, and the things that you're thinking about, are like, oh, fuck, my uniform, because that's going to be a pain in the ass, because now you got to go get another jacket, whatever. There's shit, the things that you think about are not what you think about.
Yeah.
So then, finally, and then after, when it's over and you purge, very, very, very natural reaction to coming off of that type of, the sympathetic nervous system activation and the adrenaline and all the other shit. Very, very real. And lesson learned, if you had been killed, nobody is going to be working the desk for the rest of your shift.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
You would think a large company like that. So what happened? So you called the ambulance, they came and they patched you up?
Yeah. No, I took my car, then from there I drove to the hospital. When the shift was over, I waited until the early shift came in. I dropped in, and it was the first shift. They came in at 6:30, and that happened about 1 o'clock in the morning. And so I waited all the time, did some first aid on it, and was sitting there and killing time.
Oh.
Similar story happened to a colleague of me. Again, it was with me. I was introducing him into work. And this guy was huge. He was built like a linebacker.
Yeah.
20 years of judo, came from close protection, really knows how to handle him.
Right.
And then middle of the night, let's say 2 o'clock, two older gentlemen came at the reception desk and we like to check out. We don't stay any minute longer here. And said, I'm sorry, gentlemen, what happens there? Maybe I can help you. Yes, on the 4th floor is a naked man running around and screaming. Oh, yeah, okay. And I said to my colleague, okay, dude, can you just go up and check what's going on there?
Right.
And he got into the elevator, 4th floor, door opened, and the last thing on earth what he saw before the lights turned off was a screaming bare naked man jumping on him, on his chest. He fell back into the elevator, hit his head, was unconscious.
Holy shit.
Yeah. And again, such a thin guy. And he was like this, so they can really do damage, of course. Right. Meanwhile, the police was also there. It took five policemen and a bar stool to calm this guy down and get the handcuffs on him.
Was he under
5 police officers?
What was he on?
I don't know, but I want some.
Right.
No idea what he's been smoking, but give me some of that.
It's like, we'll say, like, if you're either emotionally disturbed, that's one, or they're on PC, or they're like on PCP or meth, something that just really like deadens the senses and just makes them, that. Yeah. And I think about the judoka, man, I mean, that guy's been around stuff, and even him, gets, caught off guard.
Yeah. In both scenarios, when I would have been a civilist, I would try to get off the scene, so just escape from that. But in this case, it was my responsibility to protect the facility, to protect the guests.
Yeah.
So I regard it as like this. Yeah.
Yeah. And like I said, there's some people that take that job seriously, such as yourself. And then there's other people that, just really don't. And that goes with everything. You'll get guys that'll just, the first sign of trouble, they'll just leave. But it also makes perfect sense why the hotel would hire a security guard or security trained personnel for the evening shift. And I've been in many hotels where I've seen, not exactly in shape human beings or women who aren't exactly look like a regular round person. And they're there in the middle of the night and you don't know who's coming in off the street.
Mm-hmm.
Doors open.
In bigger hotels, you have more night managers, you have more stuff around to use, porters, and you have, some have even really a security team on site. But those hotels who hired securities, just had one person at night. That's all they needed, and that's all they wanted to pay.
Right.
Money makes the world go round, so you need to save money.
And it's interesting.
It is a service that needs to be deployed 365 days a year, 24 hours. So, and they don't have to care.
Right.
Oh, your guy is sick? No problem. Send me another one.
It's a really tough job. I don't know about the laws there, but here, most of the security, non-law enforcement security, they have to deal with the same self-defense laws as a civilian does.
Yeah, here too.
So, you don't have any authority to impose your will over someone. All you really can do is call the cops.
Yeah.
That's what unless you're attacked. And now if you insert that, now you can use constructive, you can use verbal commands, and you can use your presence that's not considered assault.
Yeah.
But in order to you can't restrain somebody here as a security guard. Like you can get in, you get in trouble. Most of them, they don't want them armed, which is, kind of ridiculous, especially if you're looking at schools or malls or places where large, where people large, bodies, large amounts of people gather in small spaces, because they're really useless. They're just another person there to call the police. So, criminals know this shit. If there were people, as someone who's living their life outside the law, they know what they can get away with, and they know what they're going to push, just like you do your job. We all do our jobs, or, we're trying to, do the best job we can for the least amount of effort possible. Right. So, yeah, I mean, security is tough. And, most of the training is, it's all liability based. I mean, we just, so I've had a concealed carry permit prior, and then the Supreme Court just overturned a ruling, and now all the states, it's a constitutional right, so we can carry. We talked about this again last week. Most people don't understand what real self-defense is about. Or, I mean, and I'm in a classroom where it's me and my buddy Pete, who's in all the videos with me. And they, the instructor's talking about, it's all liability based. And he's like, well, you don't want to hit somebody in the head or the neck. I'm like,
yeah, that's way too far. Yeah.
He goes, oh, you got to hit their arms. I was like, so I looked at Pete. I'm like, don't say a fucking word. I want to get out of here. So, someone else had raised a point, but then the discussion began, and I'm with, what you would consider for us right-wing, Trump MAGA hat wearing gun guys who are clueless about protecting themselves and talk so much shit. And I'm looking at them, I go, I know 7th graders that would destroy you. I'm like, you can't even get out of your own way. I'm like, I'm looking at a guy probably can't do a push-up, or, can't move, 20 yards fast without having a heart attack. So, but still, most people just don't. And most of the things that are taught, even in law enforcement, are all liability based. So security is the same thing. Why? Because it's easier to pay your look. This is how, if you look at it from a, just a financial point of view, it's easier to pay your death benefit than it is to pay your lawsuit.
Yeah.
Right. So, you die or you get injured on the job. Well, you sign all kinds of waivers with assumption of risk, where you come in and you're like, look, I'm going to do this. I realize I could get hurt. I mean, the company's only liable for only so much. And, that's it.
Yeah.
And you signed it and you agreed to it.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
If you fuck up someone who's trying to, rob the place, or, even trying to assault you, now they're suing your company and the hotel for millions and millions of dollars.
Yeah. George and I, we had a chat yesterday, for example, about self-defense, especially for security guards, and the topic of urban combatives. And I had this rang a bell in my mind, and I did some research again. There was a case where a paramedic in Germany was attacked by a patient who's maybe drunk or on drugs, don't know. And he did what he learned in urban combatives. So he started his blitzkrieg model and beat down hammering, but he was sentenced.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because the court says that was over the top.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's what they teach. That's what they learn. You know? So it's helpful, of course, but not in every case. Depends on where you use it and what your objective is and what your liability is. No? Of course.
Yeah, you have to, look at. It's like, when did it start and when did it stop, right?
Yeah.
So, if you get a guy and you get it, and and you defend your, if you give a verbal, if you give a verbal command, stop, I don't want to fight, hands up. Meanwhile, you're sitting at the position of advantage, and you're doing, and the guy comes at you, you can defend yourself. But then when the threat is stopped, you got to stop, right? And you still, again, have to defend your actions in court, no matter what, especially if the guy gets really, really injured.
Yeah, and well, there's a saying: better than judged by 12 than carried by 6.
Correct. Yes. Yes.
But,
yeah, I know.
Really,
it's hard. Yeah,
it's tough. Like now. I stopped all my bodyguard and security work about the time where I bought my first house. Mainly because of that reason and mainly because I know my personality. Now it's like, plus the hour sucked and I was done. I didn't want to be, I was in my 20s, about to be, in my mid 20s. And, I was looking at guys who were, working at a strip club when they're like in their mid 40s. Yeah. Personally, not for me. That's it. God bless all those. They're good dudes. I liked them. I just didn't want to be, coming there on a Thursday and a Saturday night. I want to be home. So that's kind of like where I'm at that point. So, but
change. Yes.
I mean, the problem again, the problem that we face is that, look, again, rather be judged by 12 than carried by 6. Your best chance of survival is, to go first, go hard, don't stop until it's over, period. Yeah. Right? The problem is, and the reality is, the people that judge you have no concept of what it's like.
And what it feels like.
Yeah.
Right.
What it feels like when you oh shit, this thing can cost my life here.
Yeah,
my life is on stake here. Huh?
Yeah.
So, and you have to explain it to a judge, to someone who hasn't been there, who maybe have never faced such a situation. Huh?
Right. And they assume if they find out you're trained, because I'll never say that it's going to be very easy to prove that I was trained. I don't know. But like if they're, if someone said, stuff like, well, you're a black belt in karate. I'm like, I'm not black belt in karate. You'd have to be very, very, very specific in, your answers. But when they hear you're trained, because they watch the movies and TV, they assume that you've got some magic
tricks,
power.
Yeah, fucking John Wick.
And this is perpetuated by
pressure, heart attack, heart explosion.
And to be honest, this is this is willfully and enthusiastically supported by martial artists.
Yeah.
Because they believe and they sell that line of shit.
Yeah.
Which is, dude, you're just going to get them a joint lock. They're going to fall down like a baby and you're going to be able to hit this button, this pressure point. They're going to fall all, they're going to just knock out. Yeah, of course, there are target areas and there's all that shit without a doubt. But the way that it's done with Sistema and all the other bullshit where these guys are just like, going around and they're just, and Aikido and, like, come on. So, and then it's, people are like, oh, Aikido. I go, like martial arts are made with a specific purpose. Aikido is more of an exercise in spirituality and physiology
But
than
they
it
watch
is
the
actual
movies and
self-defense.
think the stuff is gonna work. Huh?
Right. If you want to see what it looks like, it's judo. Like Aikido, like against a real resistant person, turns into judo really fast.
Yeah.
So, that's what it is. And, people think like, look, because, one, who doesn't want to have that magic power, right? If I'm wearing my black belt and I'm walking around, I'm like, hey, yeah, I'm this fucking cool.
But I was the same because I had no clue. I started with 15 with Wing Chun.
Yeah.
Was many years in it. And my very first violent encounter was still my school time. And it was kind of a baptism on fire because there were only 2 guys. Thank God it happened in the time where they were stupid enough and dumb enough to come one after the other.
Right.
So, and where you just hit a guy, and when he's on the ground, it's finished, and you make your statement and go off.
Right.
Meanwhile, it's totally different. Here we have an escalation of violence. We don't have much more violence, but more escalation of violence.
Yes,
so if you're in a matter of 101, and then you're going down, and then 5 other enthusiastic bros show up and kick you in the head from all sides.
Yeah, and you brought up a great point.
Yeah.
Like the instances, the number of instances have probably, have gone down, but the level of intensity of the violence has gone up. That's global.
Meanwhile, our news are full with where children are killing children.
It's insane.
An 11-year-old stabbed a 7-year-old. Yeah.
Have they been?
But what I want to figure out, I just in the same mindset. I just have to train a martial art to be able to handle myself, and it was totally different because I knew nothing about adrenaline rush. I knew nothing about tactics, and so on. I did many things right, but I did also a lot of things wrong. But I learned so much out of it. Yeah. That's why I was constantly looking over the years for something not more system related, because no martial art is for me better than the next. My kung fu is better than yours. Bullshit.
Right.
No. But that's what people have in mind. And I was looking for what is helping me out? What is the problem? What was the problem? For example, I learned a lot about the bystander effect from witnesses. Yeah, my best friend and training partner was watching the scene just a few meters away. Okay, but he was so overwhelmed with the situation, and he couldn't act. Meanwhile, I know why. Yeah.
But, so explain the bystander.
He's still my best friend, of course, more than 40 years right now. But I never was blaming him for that, because now I understand why that happened to him.
Explain why that happened to him.
Yeah, because it's about the so-called bystander effect. And you need, before you intercept in a violent confrontation, first you must be sure to know this guy or this person needs help. Right. On the other hand, it's your personal decision. Do I feel obliged to help? What about all the others? Are they intercepting too? It's just we call this. I try to translate it in English. A plural. Yes. Plural ignorance. For example, the other guys don't do anything, so this guy is not in danger.
So it's like, well, if
and the more witnesses you have, the less your own you feel, the less you feel responsible to do something.
So the more people that you have around you, and the less amount of them are doing something, the more you conform to that thinking of not doing anything.
Yeah.
On top of, he doesn't look like he's in trouble.
Yeah.
And also nobody's attacking me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's honestly, that's the first time I've actually heard this term. So
you should maybe the case of Kitty Genovese in also in Queens happened that in the 1970s. A young Italo-American lady came home late at night from work, and she was robbed, beat up, and raped and killed in front of her house. And they had 38 witnesses, eyewitnesses, who watched the scene. Nobody intercepted. No, after 20 minutes or 25 minutes, someone called the police. And when the police arrived, it was already too late.
Yeah.
And the New York Times titled them as soulless monsters.
Yeah.
And there were two psychologists, Tom Daly and Bib Latane, who found out this can't be. These are good people. They can't be monsters. What happened there? And so they tried to reproduce the events and tested it. And then they came out, okay, this is the bystander effect, so-called. And the more people you have watching, and the less you have your own responsibility, because we are scared or we are afraid, okay, we have 20 witnesses, 30 witnesses, at least one person. No, the more witnesses you have, the less
chance.
Your own decision. Yeah? When we both on the street and we see a guy beat up and say, hey, dude, come on, we need to help. No problem. But when you can, this might be a problem.
Right. No, I took That makes sense the way you explain it, because it's like, well, there's all these people here, somebody else, and plus you can defer or push off the responsibility on the other people around you.
Yeah.
Right. So you're like, even if you don't want to, like, well, if they're not doing it, I'm not doing it, but somebody else will do it.
Yeah.
And we're all not doing it. So my decision to not do anything is even more validated than if I were just by myself.
Yeah.
And I'm the only guy here. I got to do something.
Yeah.
Wow. That's
absolutely
interesting. I had something like that.
And so this time, even in my hotel time, I learned de-escalation and also awareness. And I'm also a big fan, not only of awareness, but only on psychology. Meanwhile, I'm a certified profiler as well. Not on a criminal profiler, but on human profiling, reading people, body language, and so on. Because this was only really my hobby. And it started, please don't laugh at me, with a Jason Bourne movie.
All right, sure.
With the very first one, when they're sitting in that restaurant or what it is, and they say, I come in, I see every exit door, I know the guys there weighs 200 pounds, can handle himself, and I know where to search for him. So, hey, that's kind of cool. I want to learn this. Of course, this is Hollywood, it's quite clear, of course. But at least there must be some kind of method.
There is,
to raise his own awareness. And so I really digged into it. And what's funny is every self-defense teacher in Germany and in Europe says awareness is key. But all they give you is be aware of your surroundings.
What the hell does that even mean?
Yeah, what does it mean? Where is my context? And there is no literature back in English literature. And by English, I mean the language, not the country.
Yes.
Because you care a lot of awareness. You know that it's crucial. You know that it's key, and there's a lot of possibilities to learn it, whether it's online or in person, or even in literature to read something about. In German, it's nothing. So the first thing I did when I got self-employed, I created an online platform to learn this with all my knowledge, all my researches, and I'm the first one who was offering it. Meanwhile, I read a book. If you give me a second.
Sure.
Here it is, that you don't think I'm lying.
Okay, all right.
Just recently published. And because I want to give people just a hand-on and a method of training, and not by training, not by rules. I don't believe in rules. I believe in habits.
Right.
Make it a habit by training. So you have possibility to train your awareness in everyday situation, whether you're sitting on a train, watch people, watch their behavior, get to know some behavior patterns. What does it mean? When you're waiting in a dentist practice, just look around, because waiting for the dentist is way more scary than the treatment itself.
Right.
How many people are here? How many doctors? How many assistants? What about the patients who came before me? Who came after me? What about their clothes? Are they wearing jewelry or watches? Are they left-handed? Are they right-handed? This is all things I can read.
Right.
So, and just recently, because I get asked, oh no, this needs kind of effort, and I should train this. Oh no. So okay, where is the effort? Of course, maybe in the beginning, because it's not a habit, but you get used to it, and when you get used to it, it becomes a habit. You don't think of it anymore.
Right.
It's like a firewall on your computer, just running in the background and protecting you from malware. This is all.
Right. And again,
habits don't need any effort.
No, they don't. They just need, consistency.
Yeah.
And, you're looking at, and that's everybody with it, because you also get into the fact that, people don't want to think about it.
Yes.
They're like, oh, the
They want
chance.
to ignore it. Yeah, they know there's something that exists. It's called violence. Yes, I read about it in the news.
Yes,
but it's
right.
it always happens to other people, not to me. My world is safe. Yeah.
Right. And then, we realize it's just a matter, you're swimming with sharks.
Yeah.
And it's just a matter until you get bit.
Yeah.
And if you do even, if you just even train in awareness, you minimize your chances of that happening.
Yeah. It's no magic key. It's just to be prepared and to know more about violence, and maybe give you some opportunities to act and to react.
Right. Absolutely. And this is, I think, what we all do and why we're all here. When you do this and you prepare, you all of a sudden become more in tune with that psychology or those subtle cues. Like, someone walks in just from, even if you didn't do any tactical training, just even from, combat sports training, right? You would know from being a fighter, if somebody like moves a certain way, you just kind of know why, because I've stared at hundreds of these guys across the mat from me.
Yep.
Right. So I know how a guy swaggers, how he walks, how he looks. I'm like, when a guy's like, okay, this guy could be a problem.
Yeah.
I mean, you just know, training that and teaching people that it's it's challenging, but we'll do it from a way of like, how you present yourself to the world, how you manage your personal space, realizing when you're getting sized up, paying attention to, because people think like, you're going to be attacked, like somebody's going to, and this is again our problem that we have with all self-defense training. Like, instructor, like, okay, be aware. Okay, great. Everybody line up for self-defense.
Yeah.
You're the attacker, you're the defender. Right. And okay, go grab his wrist, whatever. They eliminate the most important part of, of what that, how he got there.
Yep.
It's just, you've already taken out the question, because not even if you're being stalked or being observed.
Yeah. How did it?
Yeah. You don't even realize, even if they're standing in front of you, you don't know if they're going to attack you. They're asking you for directions, right? They're confused. They're asking you for help. They're using a dodge. And
let's do interview. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then, now it's like, okay. And now when they go, we always call it the oh shit moment, right? They're like, oh my God, it's happening. And now you've got to mobilize. And if you, against somebody who knows what they're doing, it's over.
Yeah.
And that's what the people don't realize. I'm like, they're sitting here, and that's why you're getting into, you're looking at this stuff, and they're like, well, letting them throw the first punch. Would you let Mike Tyson throw the first punch? Yeah. No.
I would never even approach Mike Tyson. So
right, exactly. It's like sitting next to a tiger.
Yeah.
So
this is Marcus. This is the conversation that you and I had yesterday, right? We were talking about the importance of understanding and recognizing those pre-threat indicators, because if you miss that, once you're touched, once it's already escalated to physical, you've already fucked up, right? Yeah. So it's taking the time to really understand what to look for, and to you guys hit the nail right on the head talking about this. So
and that's where and again, it doesn't have to be Mike Tyson. It could just be a guy who is a Golden Gloves boxer, who's a good amateur fighter, who will get close to you and then hit you with a 3-punch combination, and you are fucking done.
You wouldn't even know. I saw a post, this on Facebook like a couple of years ago, a little fucking MMA guy, and he's in his little fucking dress for success work attire, right? And he looks like a scrawny little motherfucker. He takes that shit off, and he's like chiseled, fucking lean, like he eats you. He fucking eats you, and you have no idea. Right?
Zero.
But even martial artists, when they face real violence, have a major problem.
Yes.
Yeah, even MMA guys. There are enough videos on YouTube where you can watch MMA guys beating up, because they know of what martial art is fine. I love martial arts, really, I do, and I watch a lot of MMA fights and so on. But it's still a sport.
Yes.
Right.
It's still a sport. It has rules. And if you don't have real violent experience, you're overwhelmed with that. And then even a sucker punch can work.
Correct.
Yeah.
Right. And
But
there's no such
if you're not
no
keeping
such thing.
distance, if you're not managing the situation and you let the guy close and stare down like he's used to, like boxers do in the press conference. And I can stare you down, and then bang, it comes from the side. You don't see it coming.
Right. Like we say, Marcus, there's no such thing as a sucker punch.
Yeah.
Just sucker.
You know what I mean? Where'd he come from?
Yeah.
Why is he in your space? What are you doing?
Yeah.
You know, and that's where, you know, and there's a lot of things that get, again, it's training habits, right?
Yeah.
You know, so, you know, you can be like, okay, we're going to do, you know, MMA for the street. And then, okay, and then it's basically fighting dirty, right? But you're still, what happens is like, how often do you do that? And when it's really down to it and your adrenaline's going, you're going to go back to what you're most comfortable with, what neural pathways were created when you're doing it. And if it's me going for an armbar, that's what's going to happen.
If it's real,
you know, but then it's like, okay, he bites my femoral artery. His buddy kicks me in the head. You know, or he gets up and moves his arm in. I don't have it right now. I'm on the fucking ground because I just took my body off of it. So, there's validity, and I'd be lying, as growing up a wrestler as a kid and getting in like schoolyard fights. And even when I was in high school, it was like the easy button. If you didn't know how to fight, and if you didn't know how to grapple, even if you boxed, and I could just time it where I dropped in and you missed your shots, we're going down. I'm on top of you, and I'm gonna own you. It only wasn't until later where I realized how vulnerable I was. You're on top of somebody, and then their friends just say, "Okay, fuck this guy. Here we go." It's a problem. So, and that's where I got into got into what I'm doing. I mean, I still have these skills that are hardwired into me, but they're only support structure for what really works. And, when I say that to people, like, okay, do this first. And then if you're going to do something, I suggest grappling. I always lean towards judo, only because it trains you to stay on your feet more. And there's a sense of urgency. And I enjoyed Brazilian jiu-jitsu, but there's a lot of hanging out and a lot of and I don't want to be too comfortable on my back. I don't want to be accepting of that. I don't want to go there because that just makes life. It is the lowest rung tactically for self-defense. It requires the most skill, most strength, most endurance. You've got the ground, you've got weapons, you've got multiple attackers. Your options are extremely limited. And if there's a size difference, a lot of these techniques aren't going to work. If I got a guy, even if he's like not even trained, just quasi-athletic, who's got like 100 pounds on me and he's on top of me,
you're fucked.
I mean, I'm going to be, it's not going to fuck. But it's like,
and what you learn in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, you learn to fix a guy, to get a submission hold, and wait to him to tap him off.
Right.
Okay, it's fine. Maybe you have a submission hold, and maybe you strangle him, or maybe you have him in a painful arm lock. That's fine. But sooner or later, you have to let him go.
Right.
Yeah.
You can't stay there. Maybe you get hungry and you need to go home because your wife is waiting with the dinner.
Right.
So you can't stay there where you are. And then the same shit begins from the beginning, from scratch. It starts again.
I mean, to train, you got to train beyond the tap. Even if you're doing that stuff. And that's why, like in the grapple, we're doing the dummy shit. We're doing the axe handle stuff. I'm like, because even if, you got to keep going. I mean, look, I've choked people out in multiple areas of my life. I've been choked out in dojo a lot. And it's like, if you get somebody who's fighting for real, it's really fucking hard.
Yeah.
It's really hard. As opposed to somebody whose throat is just uncomfortable and they'll tap, because after you're training a little bit, we say the seal is broken.
Mm-hmm.
So you're just sore, and then everybody's tapping. So even when you're training, a lot of guys will tap. I would say a lot of like your civilian level practitioners will tap right away. not the pros. I mean, the guys who really train, they're tough as fucking nails. So, but most of the people who, just do it as a hobby or don't compete at a high level or higher level, they're going to tap real easy. So, again, but to get those types of techniques too, you're passing up so many other opportunities, right? It's like I can hook an eye, I can rake his face, I can gouge, I can bite, I can do other things that don't require any skill really, as opposed to trying to subtly maneuver to getting into a rear naked choke or Kimura, and all that stuff. But even to your point, break a guy's arm, break a guy's collarbone. Okay, what if he's still going?
Yeah, and
right.
Just in my case, he did
the Terminator. Yeah,
because he was drug indicated. So
right,
and take a look at the streets. How many people you see there? Especially, for example, in a town like Frankfurt, there is a major drug problem, and they never get rid of it.
Right.
They're just relocating it from one street corner, one block to the other.
Right.
But that's all. They never get rid of it.
Right.
For example, when I was working in Frankfurt in my early days, and I started at 8 o'clock in the morning, and I had to walk through a little park. Yeah.
Right.
It was clean. It was nice and tight and cleaned up, some fresh air. And then I got to my office. When I came back, it was about 5 or 6 in the afternoon, and even especially in wintertime like now, it's getting dark early. And it was then you had all the junkies sitting in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were harmless, they didn't do anything, but you don't feel very comfortable with tossing them and setting their whatever it is. Yeah. So
you bring up a great point, and actually bring it up obviously in the book, the whatever awareness, all that stuff. But one of the things you talk about is how streets change and neighborhoods change during the course of the day and even during the course of the week. To your point, it's like you're going in, it's daylight, there could be coffee shops, there could be, stores open, and then you come out, it's a little late, it's a little dark now.
Yeah.
It's changing with the time of year. So now you're like, oh yeah, that walk was fine. If you're not from the neighborhood, especially, you're traveling, you're in an unfamiliar area.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, what does this place look like now? It's like there was somebody who I was just talking to that, I was at a meeting, and like, no, dude, it's even though the hotel's 2 blocks away, get an Uber. They're like, don't take the chance. And that's why a lot of people make these mistakes just because, you look at like why tragedies happen, and it's usually 2 or 3 bad decisions.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I'm gonna, maybe I could go home, but I'm gonna work late. Yeah. Okay, so I work late. Okay, fine. I'm done. I'm leaving. I'm by myself. Maybe I ask security. I'm like, don't worry, don't walk me to my car. Maybe, I figure, what? It's not that far. I'll walk. Right. Or maybe I'll go wait for the bus and not take a cab. You know what I mean? It's like these couple 2 or 3 decisions that all of a sudden you go from being safe into like in over your head and a whole world of shit. And I think that happens to everybody. That's like, I saw that guy before. Yeah, I don't know. It's just, maybe it's just my imagination. I'm being paranoid. I don't, I'm overreacting. And the truth is, it's like your fear is telling you, hey, shit.
Well, your intuition hits in. Yes. Yeah. Your gut tells you something's wrong, but you're ignoring it.
You're ignoring it. Reason and denial are the 2 biggest fucking killers out there. Yeah. Denial, it will never happen to me. And reason being, no, I'm overreacting. I'm not, and that's what fun. Like a book that I love is Gavin DeBecker, Gift of Fear.
Yeah, I wrote this.
It's, where he's talking about like people's intuition and, people just blowing shit off. And that's where we're like talking about the size up. And we're talking about, this guy stalking you to figure out if he can do what he wants to you and get away with it. Yeah. Right. So, that's not like magic. And, like very few people in this industry address this. And this is, and they're missing everything, because if you're not, if you're letting people into your, personal space, or letting yourself, be, stalked and set up, I'm like, you're gonna lose.
Yep.
I had recently just a conversation with some girls I know, and they said, "Oh, I was with my ladies out on a ladies' night, and I was so shit faced, and I couldn't drive anymore. But I was reasonable. I left my car there and got to the bus station. So okay, then you left your car, good one, but then you waited alone, in an isolated bus station in the dark, right? Yeah.
Right.
Good job.
Right.
Well done. Yeah, really. So,
right. Yeah.
Get a fucking taxi. Sorry.
Right.
Where's the problem? And there's another problem. They don't have money. Most of our taxis or cabs don't accept credit cards. Yeah. So you had to get some cash. So okay. It's not very common here. It's not very common here.
Yeah, I remember when I was there. Yeah, I stayed at the gym when I was there because I wasn't fucking traveling all over the place because of exactly what you were saying. Shady areas, you couldn't pay by fucking credit card with stuff. Yeah.
I mean, that's real. I mean, that's why, again, why Uber, having the app, I mean, that's what makes it takes all that out of it.
Yeah.
Now you're getting your, and plus the cab drivers aren't getting robbed.
Yeah.
There's nothing to rob.
Exactly, and that's I like it. But then for it, okay, I need to have I need to get a taxi because Uber, there are even not quite popular here and use regular taxis, but fine. But for them, you need cash. So I don't have cash. I spent all in the bar, so I had to get to the next ATM.
Yeah, right.
Night,
exactly.
Run alone and again. So that's not necessary.
I mean,
that's okay. If you want to drink, have some drinks, have fun. That's all right. And go home by taxi. But get your cash before you leave.
Right.
Home.
Again, there we go.
Make sure you have enough cash to pay a taxi.
You have to, in that case, what we used to do is put like an emergency, like $20 or $40, whatever the fucking cab ride was. I stick it in your sock, put it someplace where, you're going to forget about it. Once my pocket's empty, I got to go. But again, it doesn't allow for the human condition of making a mistake.
Yeah.
Right. There's not a lot of recovery for it. And, the criminals know this, right? They know, and they're going to see you coming out and not hailing a cab. And then they're just going to follow you, until they can get you in a spot where, they can do
predators hunt. That's where the prey is.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
They're not in the dark forest at night. So and everybody is afraid of the forest at night. Yes, it's kind of a little bit spooky, I know, but there are no robbers, there are no criminals, because what they need victims. They need a prey. Every predator does.
Yeah,
and So don't swim where the sharks are.
Right.
It's fucking easy.
Yeah, and don't hang raw meat around your neck and go.
Yeah, don't go even inside that. So,
I'm glad you mentioned the meat around the neck. It brings it back to the fucking start of this conversation with his buddy in the elevator and the naked dude, right?
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
Right.
Well, you have to be alert, but not in a million years you would expect something like this.
No.
So I don't blame him at all. So I visit him the next day in the hospital, and he's over the face, every blue spots and swollen everything. He really looked like he came under a tank. Never saw him again.
Oh, shit, exactly. He's like, I'm fucking going back to judo.
Yeah, he might have got teabagged. Nobody knows.
But again, big guy like that too, experience. I'm like, there's an ego thing too.
Yeah,
that it exposes something, and maybe he wasn't that good at judo. Maybe, who knows, right? You're only all going on what he tells you, right? Maybe he was the biggest pussy in the dojo, right?
I even experienced that even a 4-year-old boy can hurt you. I was playing once a few years ago with my nephew. Then he was 4 years old, and we did just monkey around a little bit, and then he stumbled and felt arms forward like this, right in my groin.
Right.
with his full body weight behind it.
Yes.
Yeah. And it made me like ribbing on the
Right.
floor like this, licking my thumb, and for at least 5 minutes. So a 4-year-old took me to the floor. So,
Right.
okay.
Dude.
Good work, buddy.
Oh my God, it reminds me. Eddie Murphy had a bit years ago about getting kicked in the nuts with a baby booty.
Yeah.
You know, it's like those things are. He's like, those shoes are hard, man. They're kicking the nuts. He's picking up the kid. Yeah, man, same shit.
Yeah.
Oh
So-
shit.
So,
All
so
right.
far, self-defense works for everybody.
Yes. On that note, all right, fellas. Let's call it. Marcus, thank you so much for joining us today. George will put your contact links down below and whatever else you want to put promote in there, or to just give it to George and we'll post it underneath there, and that's it. So guys, good, and everybody, thanks for joining us. Until next time, train
It's been a
honestly.
pleasure.
Thank you.
Cheers. Bye-bye.